Hello guys, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for those who are following me, and I really appreciate those who are liking my videos. It's that is the only way you can actually help me currently to grow in my channel, and I really appreciate your effort. Your presence is really welcome. Now, I've been doing a lot of live streams because I have a target, but today I've decided that I'll be doing this video just because I didn't want to do 2 live streams on Nyabohanse. So guys, let's travel through this video that MARWA made today. And of course, I saw a lot of gaps and a lot of thumbs up. As I always tell you, I'm a person who does both positive and negative in one video. So if you run away and tell me to do positive, I'll call you back to listen to my positive. If you think I'm here only for positive, then you are wrong. If you think I'm also here only for negative, you are wrong. Because as I always look at the lives of these people, it has both positives and negatives, right? Yeah. So guys, I was just curious about the fact of the streaming people. Those people were streaming into the villa. The other day, we saw after the visitation by international guests. Then, surprisingly, we saw this young man, the Babawu, with coming in to seek MARWA because he wants a following. Of course, a shout-out is not a problem. It's not a great problem. After that, we saw a young man coming with a health condition from the village. Of course, that one we could see evidently. Then, following that, just as he lives with money, we've seen another one claiming to be from Eldoret, a Luo guy. So I'm just asking, for curiosity purposes, is this just by coincidence or what is happening? Why are people streaming into the villa so much, with one problem or the other? So, and I just wondered because this is not an office, right? This is just a self-made man, of course, with the support of viewers and a goodwill of God that has made him to be who he is. And I was looking at the fact that we have so many politicians in the country with the ability to help, and these people are not going to them. So is it a turn of events in Kenya that people would rather go to self-made normal people in a social field than political? And that's where I start. Now, guys, you understand that MARWA, since 2015, when he started content creation, he has been quite, hardworking, of course, and using variety of methods, some of which he came up here to say. People think that when he does it's wrong, but when they do it's right. And I think here he's referring to people who have ever talked about his way of asking for support, or if Dimwango asks for support, people will think that that is a form of begging, But they themselves go for support. Of course, the other day Kohera said that who doesn't like support? And I'm very sure that was a genuine thought. Because when I look around, if you have not reached where you're going, you would really wish for support. If you're walking on the road and you are heading for somewhere distant and you don't have cash, maybe fare, you would wish for somebody to give you fare or give you a lift, right? That is the genuine idea about humanity. As far as we may sit and talk about this aspect of begging and supporting, that is just for the purposes of, okay, maybe critiquing. Because most times YouTubers seek help because it's not easy. Every time you need bundles, you need, to invest in some machines like better cameras, microphones, sometimes even dressing because you need to impress on the camera. And so everyone who comes to YouTube with time, you have even heard BBTV and the rest of the people saying, if you want to support, then use this number, right? So now today I'm coming back to see this aspect. And let's listen to the video here. MARWA now complaining that people have been really labeling him when they themselves go for it and they don't see a problem with it, you know. And he was also talking about the fact that in Africa, we don't want to unite. Let's watch him before he can talk about.
One gets an opportunity, calls the other one, teaches them how to be a banker and things like that. And in 1 or 2 years, they control the entire maybe system, banking system, or construction system, or government system. So then a lot of conspiracies comes and says, oh, these people are controlling everybody, have taken. No, it's just about togetherness, the power of just sticking with one another, supporting, even if it does not directly benefit you, just knowing that maybe one day you may need that system or that person or that's all they do. But when it comes to us, mostly here in Africa, when we try to preach togetherness, supporting each other, people see that as begging, as they bring all types. It's like you're not supposed to do that, but other people can do it and that's okay. But you, if you try, oh, you're being a beggar, scammer, they give you all sorts of names. Yeah, so that is what is going on.
Yeah, so guys, you've heard him, you've seen him, right? Sometimes it's good to have just a monologue. However, in this family, when they have monologues, we get them on camera, of course, because they do vlogs about themselves. Sometimes some of us have not started to do everything about ourselves because, you know, like the spaces we have are limited and the things we do are still limited. We have also a lot of tasks during the day. We can't go about just vlogging everything we do. And some will not be allowed because when you are dealing like with students, you cannot go taking videos about them without the consent of their parents, you know. And therefore, that's why we are not yet into it. Now, guys, you heard MARWA saying something about the fact, MARWA talking about the fact that many people in Africa don't want to collaborate. Now, I would agree to some percentage, but there are still families who collaborate, right? And I think currently, so of course I was telling you that to some percentage I may agree, but to some level I may disagree. Because currently, if you go to homes where we have literate fellas, and may you not maybe misjudge or have misinformation about what I'm saying, but most homes where we have literate kids, like a father who educated all their kids or a mother, you find that most of those kids come together, and you will find that most of them during holidays, starting from April to August to December, they do collaborative budgeting for their parents or even projects for their parents, and sometimes they do projects as a family. I've seen a lot within my own family and also my uncle's place. They have even collaborated, bought vans, plots together. Maybe 1 or 2 may not collaborate with them, but so what? Those ones will be left out because you can't force somebody to. It's like in our saying within Kenya, we always say, you can't force a cow to take water, you know. You can take the cow to the river, but you cannot force it to take water, right? So guys, ladies and gentlemen, one thing I'm so sure about is that unity is not no-go zone in Kenya. It's not true. It only depends with how you are choosing the people you want to unite with. Because I've ever tried to unite with some people over writing of books and publication, and I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed because some were lazy, not wanting to actually do the work as expected, or they'll roughly go through and they won't want to come back and edit. They also want to be so slow when that time we want to be a bit fast, because like writing, it needs sometimes to target the audience. If they are really looking for that material, you do it, publish, sell. When it came also to marketing the books, oh my God, it's like people don't want to sell, but when you try sell 90%, they want you to just bring the money and you share, so that you laugh and be friends. That's the reality about human beings. And once you refuse, they label you, right? And that's okay. You just feel okay with that. and sometimes you give a blind eye and continue. So I think the reality that Africans do not unite is a bit wrong. Maybe in some parts, or rather if you unite with people who don't have same dreams, same ideologies, and same goals with you. The other thing that if you're uniting with people, they have to give equal, equal focus so that you really meet your goal. Because there is also land we've bought with another group in Nairobi, Kitengela areas. And of course, we had to put on equal efforts. Like we decided one person should have not more shares than the other. So if we decide that everybody has to bring 70,000 at a given time, then we focus towards that, so that all of us do equally. Because if once one person has a better share than the rest, then it becomes a problem. Now guys, in this video, I came to the point when Marwa has finally said enough is enough. And of course, it started with this young man who had come for treatment. And the parents, even in the picture, generally if you look at them, they are like, especially the father is a bit of arrogant and not willing to get assistance, because even the way he speaks and the non-verbal language, I don't know, maybe as I have misunderstood him, but from that picture I did not see like he was so appreciative of the effort made. He's chest out and yet he's being helped. I don't know, maybe some other person will have different opinion, and I welcome all of them here. Why do you think he was behaving like that? The young man came there. Of course, we watched that video at the gate, asked for help, and once Marwa had a shout out, we saw 56,000 coming to Gitriba, and finally, that money has been handed over. So Marwa began complaining, even saying that if the father does not show up, they are only going to register the SHA, and then the rest of the money will be given to other people who will have help. Of course, that would have brought a lot of controversies. That would have really brought a lot of controversies, because people would not understand why it would be switched to another person. But anyway, after all, he was the engineer behind the issue. Now let's get to see this video shortly before we proceed. And you are free to give your views about what happened here. Of course, we appreciate the efforts that were given in by the king of the swamp, who finally enabled the family to get 46,000 so that they can have treatment for that kid. So we hope that vitiligo will get a healing, because I don't believe that it doesn't have a cure. That's an illness I've seen some people calling it in our mother tongue, in relation to twins, Bukwana or something. And then there are those who call it vitiligo in English. Of course, we understand. And there are several ways, surgery and other ways of treating. So there's no way you can say that it cannot be treated. It can. Yeah, so let's watch that video.
Na watu wale waliochanga wangependa kuona mama ya kijana, baba ya kijana na koko yake. Kama kuna ukore inaendelea hapo katikati, ijulikane. Isikwe mama tu ndo alituma ule akamwambia ndio uko chini kwa ghorofa upewe pesa uje tukule mandazi huko. That is why I was insisting baka baba afanye nini? Kawepo. Mama pia afanye nini? Ni vizuri huyu mama amekuja. Sasa vile tulikupigia simu nasema mimi nimefungua biashara, sikukuelewa.
Unajua shida inatokea ni kwamba kwanza kabisa nani yangu ni ya wazi, sio kitu yenye sio duka. Ni mahali ambapo unaenda unasimamisha vitu unaanisha tu. Ukisha mwanga sasa kuja kurudi, na tena pia hii taarifa kama ningeambiwa singeenda hata. Hii taarifa kama ningepewa jana.
Niliambia huyu aambie jana.
Singeenda. Kwa sababu unajua mahali ambapo kuna hitaji mtu huwezi ukapumzia.
Ndio hiyo. Mimi niliambia huyu jana.
Now guys, after you've watched that, what is your thought? So after this, I told you that there was some other guy who came with a baby, and it really caused a lot of stirring on internet, with some people feeling like Marwa was going the debut way. I don't know which way, because I didn't actually know which one. And then I just thought, Marwa with the large following, of course people will go for him, because what do people look for in a society? They look for prominent people. I've seen a lot of people following Obina, for example, to seek help. Some have gone to Eric Omondi. Some have gone to, who else? Who else is on the limelight? Them on Facebook, there are still few reaching out. Politicians are the most reached. Why? Because people understand they have a lot of connections, and maybe because of money that they have, they would help. So I believe for today, maybe another day I'll have another thought if I see something different. But for now, I believe that people are just rushing to reach out on MARWA because he's prominent in terms of following. And with the growth that is coming up, sometimes even relatives wouldn't want association with you. But once you become prominent, you won't even be able to say, this one helped me, this one didn't help me. Even if you say so, they'll still come because you are now somebody, That one is a fact that we cannot run away from. Now, I saw another case just in the same video. This guy coming with a D+ and saying he wants to go to a university abroad, and I was like, okay. Yeah, of course I won't really belittle it, but I thought we have KUPS, KUUPS, in Kenya. And when students are in high school, they are normally encouraged to apply courses through that. And we have courses such as that, tourism and whatever. I have even a kid, an orphan that I helped to pay fees for, and she's now completing her course in design, And she applied through KUPS. I've paid some little fee since she went to college, but I didn't pay much. At least high school I did all that. But when she went to college, there's a large percentage that KUPS took care of, and we have also loans. And you cannot claim that you cannot study as you learn in Kenya. That's bullshit. I would say so, because currently I think things have changed. And if your schedule or timetable allows you to work and go to work to school, you can still do so. Because I've seen people during my time when I was in university, some who used to study and work. Like you take fewer units, and for example, if it's a KUPS and you've taken a course as a diploma or a certificate course, the hours in which they learn are not very many, and you have all the time to go to work. And of course, it depends on what type of work. Maybe you can say, in America, we have better opportunities. That is what I would have understood. So this guy, the tall guy here, came from, I don't know, Eldoret, single parent. He learned through a foundation. I don't know, all the siblings are in drugs. And I was like, are you telling the truth? I really doubted. Anyway, whom am I to keep doubting? And he said it. But if you land under a foundation, religious foundation supports somebody up to college. They can't leave you, like after high school, they just leave you. Why would they be schooling you? Because I was looking at performance, I thought he had a B or something, but he said he had a D+, and I was surprised. Because, yeah, if the university has allowed him to go, let him go, maybe he'll have an opportunity ahead. But then, in my African perspective, getting a sponsorship for somebody with a D+ to go study abroad would just be a really investment, really, if you understand what I'm saying. Because KUPS is in Kenya, and it supports these individuals with those kind of grades to go for skill courses, so that KUPS supports them so that they go pursue courses that will help them to have skills. And currently, by the way, with the upcoming CBC, there are so many people will be needed with such skills, and skills which will enhance maybe the aspect of airport. I do not know, because I've seen people doing forwarding and clearing in Mombasa, and they are supported by KUPS sometimes, and they can work while there as they go to college. So this guy comes up with a story, tells us everything here, and whatever he's seeking for is like someone who will stand with him, show that he has money, he can sustain him, he can also pay fees. Maybe that will come up with various people, because what I know, the USA has tightened they are really tightened the nuts. If anybody is going there for studies, they want somebody to purely go for studies and not for work. They don't have work permit. So unless you're going to work illegally, yeah, we understand what Trump did, right? So if I'm telling, maybe I'm saying something wrong, somebody will correct me. I'm always positive, but I was just looking at the easiest ways possible. I would wish this guy would come up, look for, like, having a YouTube channel, look for support in terms of views, and maybe, let's say, maybe donations that would enable him just to study in Kenya. And he can study as he works. It's very possible. Though the work itself maybe will be low pay. Maybe if that was his argument, I would understand. And of course, what I just saw is that, like, Marwa is tired with this kind of people bothering him every time, just popping up to come and help. And of course, negative analysts or any other commentary will be out there asking why and what have you. And maybe things just pop up on this and that. So he's tired currently. From what I can see, he does not want to continue with such things. That is why even the other boy who had illness, he had to ensure that Gitriba takes charge. The other one who had a baby, he ensured that he just does a shout out. And of course, luckily enough, the guy has now 1,000 additional subscribers on his channel, which is very good. Now, I was looking at the final part of this video. I looked at this video, the final part, whereby the Burundi guy is showing up his channel and he's talking about PhD and, sometimes elites in Kenya, not just in Kenya or in the world, we have been let down. Yeah. But let's look at that video for that guy before I get to this other section. I'm forgetting that I've not put something as evidence here. It's always important so that you don't say that I was blabbering just for my own sake.
Yes, so unfortunately, my brothers went to drugs and are drug addicts.
Oh, wow.
So I'm the only one who I grew from the church, and that foundation had made me to be where I am today.
Okay.
Yes.
So, my friend,
Yes.
Your biggest want is you want someone
Yes.
who can help you join this university.
Yes.
Has the university first accepted you?
Yes, the university had accepted me.
Okay.
The only part remaining is that part to fill the form for sponsorship. So that
So sponsorship, they want to know if you are self-sponsored, government-sponsored.
they want to know if I can sustain myself. They're like, who will pay for my fee?
Yeah, that is.
The first year fee.
And I think also, even when you are looking for the visas,
Yes.
student visas,
Yes. Good audience.
if they want to help you or not. Okay.
Yes.
So here in Kenya, let's start with that.
Okay, so here in Kenya, like the system says that for one to be sponsored by the government,
Yeah.
they have to get C plus and above. That's the
Yeah, cut out.
cut out.
Yes.
So you find out that for us, like me, I got a D plus as a grade, but I highly passed in
Okay,
some of
guys,
the
so let's
subjects
go
like,
to the final
like
part of the
French
tips
and,
of the
geography.
iceberg. I
That's
would
why
have separated
tourism
this from
comes
this
in.
video to make it a different section, but I don't see how I'll do that. Let me just complete this because it's in the same video, guys. And so I was looking at this part of Marwa rejecting the fact of people around him. And people have really talked about it. In fact, some bloggers are talking about Rochelle being sacrificed or crucified for telling out her mind, or Rochelle being blamed for having made a decision that people should no longer get to the villa. Some saying JT, of course, was enlightening us on how she said it. Of course, sometimes we say things that are right, but people come to critique not because what you said is wrong, but how you said it. There is a difference between telling me, shut up, and telling me, kindly keep quiet. You see, those are two things that are just similar. But how did you say it to me? Are you getting? So those people are saying that maybe it's wrong for somebody to have critiqued. It may not be wrong. Why? I'm saying that because we have different perspectives out there. And when we look at people, and because you are a brand, Marwa is a brand. And being a brand, whatever happens around him, that is why people talk about him. By the way, if you people don't understand why people keep talking about them, hey, if you don't understand, it's because he's a brand. And it's not out of envy, out of, I don't know, wanting to defame him, wanting to witch hunt. If there are those who do that, maybe there are few that ever had one-on-one personal differences. As for us on the streets, we have no personal difference with the king of the swamp. Never. And of course, the reason why we follow, he has a large following. And through him, we get a following, whether it's those who are against or for. That does not even matter for us. And that is why, for me, I do both negative and positive based on what I've found. And I normally research a lot. I compare notes. I see those who are saying this and that. And I look at the video closely to see what is my perspective, what is his perspective, right? So guys, in this video, we saw Marwa coming up and saying that people are complaining, they're tired with these things and I want appointments now. And of course, it did not start today. If you are aware, the video in which Rocio was practicing her music, that is where it started. And even before that, even before she went to Europe and all that, she's never comfortable with the crowds in the villa, never. She's the kind of person who wants privacy and to do her things and develop herself and so that she has that freedom to do whatever she'll do and live her life. That is the kind of person I see in Rocio. So, when we look at Rocio in that video, she complained, she says the privacy in this area, I don't know what to say. And she kept looking for a place to take her videos. Yeah? Yeah, that's Rocio mama. So, in fact, she's very uncomfortable. Maisha is there, people are looking around, And of course, it's not good for anyone. Most people don't like that kind of life. How many of you, if you're watching me, would you like that people just gather around you? However, Maro, on the other hand, likes having a lot of people around him. To say the truth, I don't know whether he can survive just like him and Rocio alone and Maisha. Let's say anybody stops getting to the villa. Yeah? Let's assume that, guys. Let's start from there before you can crucify me. Now, can you imagine that Maro, for once, does not even have Gitriba as the driver. He drives himself because he knows how to drive, for heaven's sake. If he decides just to stay with Rocio and Maisha alone, are you imagining his world? Because all along we've been watching from 2015 up to now. Show me when he is alone. Show me. Show me the time he has been able to just, in fact, deciding to be a travel, content creator who is a traveler. It's as a result of wanting people around. And his kind of home has people always streaming in. So I'm imagining a situation where people will not be in. Maybe, let's say they were just talking about the visitors who are popping him in. Let me just forgive them and hope that was the thing. But for Rocio, she does not like many people around. Of course, we also saw the other day this controversial video where people have made a lot of noise about it. Rocio was complaining about some people who are making noise as she's doing video. And of course, she was making as she moves in the villa. I don't know, for whatever reason, she passed by people who are around the horses. Malaika and it's called Rio. So she asked them, you are interrupting all the time. Can't you have at least respect, And she went to Marwa, and Marwa was like, I told you about the visitors. She said, yeah, I know the visitors who are coming tomorrow, but they are your relatives. And she said, he said that just that, and then I'll allow you to chase people if you want. And she said, watch out what you tell me to do, And so we've seen people streaming into the villa without appointment, of course. Any home would want privacy, especially if you've put a wall around your home and a gate. And of course, with a standard house, security becomes important, they say, when you become wealthy. When you are poor, you don't care, do you? Poor people have nothing to guard, And they won't even have a gate, they won't even have a fence. The houses are just as poor as possible, so what are you guarding? But when you have like horses there, you have the peacocks now, you have the chicken all over, you have there's a lot in that villa. Would you want people to just come anyhow? In fact, once bitten, twice shy. Remember, Marwa was beaten by the people who were working around him. I think Gintu is one of them, plus others, the Mogesi and all that, right? So they always say, ukiumwa na nyoka, hata wanasema unyo? Ukisikia tu, even something moving around your leg, you will think it's a snake. That's what happens. Now, I had to research into this thing about people around us and away. And I said, life, as I've always said, is in duality, guys. Now, let's look at the fact that the Bible talks about this and also the Proverbs. Yeah, so I looked at one thing that talks about people, having too many people around us. And what did it tell me? Several Proverbs caution against surrounding oneself with too many people, especially if they are of negative influence. Mark that. Especially if they are of negative influence. And one of the Proverbs is, a rolling stone gathers no moss, right? Suggests that a constant movement and lack of focus can be unproductive. Sometimes they say too many cooks spoil the broth, implying that too many opinions or people involved can ruin a task, right? Additionally, another proverb says, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. So if you are a companion of fools, you'll suffer harm. If you are a rolling stone, you will not gather moss. So if you don't have specific friends around you, you don't have much to complain about. Then, if you make so many people to be cooking a same meal, they'll destroy it. Yeah? So those are just some proverbs that tell us about this aspect of having many people around you. Now, let's get to the other way round. Yeah? Which talks about the importance of many people. And this is what I found out. There are several proverbs that emphasize on the importance of helping others. For example, highlighting the reciprocal and rewarding nature of generosity and kindness. One of the proverbs is from the Bible. Proverbs 19:17 says, whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord. Proverbs 11:25 also says, whoever brings blessings to be enriched, and one who waters will himself be watered. Now, this one is just encouraging us not to be selfish, and ultimately to give others so that we get. They always say also, the hand that giveth also receives, right? One of the billionaires in the world is Brad Jacobs, right? You would go look at him, a multi-billionaire, multi-billion dollar, of course, not just Kenyan shillings, but a multi-billion dollar man. Yeah? And he's a very generous and people's person. However, as far as we would want to be generous, selfless, we have to be very careful. Now, in one of the messages that we saw Marwa reading, I think you saw very well from one of the subscribers who was indicating that for the safety of the kid and for the comfort of Rocio, it is important that Marwa does not open doors to so many people who come in the name of help. Yeah, so guys, yeah, problems in Kenya or other in Africa are so many. Either people are sleeping hungry, those who have been, become orphans, those who are widows, widowers, those who don't have a basis of life, those who have lost income, those who are lame, so many problems. So you cannot even sort them out, but you can try to sort some, especially if you are influential. And maybe one thing that I would have preferred Marwa to think of is to start maybe some kind of NGO, just an NGO. Charity versus business, when you are conducting business and you are a thriving, wealthy person, the only thing you can do is to start a non-profit foundation or trusts, the way Akothe does, by the way. Why can't Marwa borrow from Akothe? Akothe has foundations and trusts. I've also seen, I was in one school whereby the chairperson of that school used to do charity. He's a very great architect who has done a lot of projects. He has built a lot of real estates in Kenya. He has even, he started this Tavo Foundation in Nairobi, where they are selling so many houses at a very high fee and making a lot of profits. So for him, he has separated charity from business by creating these non-profit foundations and trusts. Like if you know Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, it is separate from Microsoft, the main company. And this kind of foundation just helps those orphans. And you don't have to have them coming. You can randomly maybe reach out to orphanage homes and you allocate money there. You don't have to have them coming to you. We have also corporate responsibility, social responsibility, that once you start your company, like you are saying you are starting this company known as what? MARWA Safaris. You see, even Akote has a safaris. So when you have that safaris, the part where you're working, you can offer charitable work, charitable work, like you just budget for specific people, or you ensure funds are addressing a specific problem. If it's electricity, like Nyaboanza doesn't have a lot of electricity, it can focus towards water, clean water, pads, or something. And then these people don't have necessarily to come to your place. You can decide how that channel will run itself on its own. And in fact, it will manage itself. They can have projects such as chicken and what have you and manage their affairs. Then we have philanthropy teams. That is another option. When you have philanthropy teams, professionals who manage donations, community work, social impact strategies, they are all over Kenya. So you use them, they have your name, and they always offer such. Yeah. Now, Marwa, one thing with how far you've gone, I think it's time you have multiple businesses, because I've seen things to do with cows. I've seen also kind of birds in your home. You can diversify your business, to reduce on income risks. You invest also. Investment will include maybe, let's say, hotels. You have, like you are starting safaris, you can start hotels. You can also have those cars variety, using business structures that hold different ways, And you can also acquire multiple companies in the country, like if it is real estate or those safaris, different places, so that it's not only on the border, but elsewhere in the country where tourists reach. Then business managers or teams for each company need to be there. The brands, you can have variety of brands under you, just like Elon Musk has done. Now, how do you separate family with business? Let's hear what this Burundi man was suggesting here. And some people had said he has overstayed. I don't know. I've not seen Marwa complaining. I don't know whether Rocio has complained. I can never know. But he was there in the video testifying that the wife of Marwa is uncomfortable with the people coming, just popping up like that. So let's have the video. Then we can proceed.
Yes. This guy is from Burundi, guys. I think I did a video with him. But today is Friday. I want by Saturday, tomorrow, we will strictly receive visitors with appointments. Now my wife is not happy. Even some of you have started already complaining. Even one sent me a message here. Let me read it so that people don't say, Maro, you're making this up. Let me see. Let me see where it's coming from. This one here. It says, hey, Rocio, I hope you are fine. Keep enjoying yourself, but keep your gate closed for everyone apart from families. The devil is very cunning, and please keep Aisha away from the village children for now, for its safety. Please advise your husband to keep away from hearing people's problems. The world is full of problems. People will start flooding that gate again, and wrong people who are fighting him once passed through his gate. That is what got him into trouble. Please stick to your decision to help the community far from your home. Keep privacy. This is just a suggestion. Have a blessed time.
Yeah, guys. So let's proceed. You've seen in that video, did you see? You heard clearly that as far as people want to complain, it's genuine, of course, that a family should have privacy. However, sometimes when you're on the limelight, it's difficult, but you can keep the privacy of your home. We've seen people like Obina. Obina is on the limelight, but his home, unless the times, specific times, there's this aspect that Dimwango was saying that she's an open book, so she has nothing to hide. But sometimes, sometimes, don't tell me that you expose everything, including how you go to the bathroom and all that. It's not possible. Don't tell me that everybody can be welcome to a home. It's farce. All farce. There's no single human being who exposes the entire life, Like you tell me that everybody knows from how you wake up to how you go to the toilet from whatever. No, there are things we just have to keep them off. No wonder, like we saw, Dimwango did not disclose the boyfriend's face openly, right? And don't tell me I'm attacking anybody. I'm just telling the truth. That is the truth. You cannot expose everything about you. And of course, we've had this singer, this country music singer, this beautiful lady, Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton told us that she was taught by her mother that she can expose anything about herself apart from her husband. And so all the time she was on the limelight, people never knew much about her husband. And she says it was very good for her because it kept the safety of their marriage, right? So in your entire life, you cannot say that you're just going to expose everything. There are things you must keep to yourself. Even if you have somebody you trust so much, are confident, there are things you must keep to yourself, right? Just like in your home, there are people you can open the gate to and not. And even those you're opening to, don't think that they will always be your friends. Today, people are your friends. Tomorrow, they are your enemies. I always say life is a duel. Those people you think you really trust, hey, don't be surprised one day they are the ones who will let you down. Even that, your own child that you really trust and think they'll never let you down, don't be surprised one day they can be the ones to surprise you. Because, as I've said, life is a duality. Where there is love, there is hate. Where there is help, there is disappointment. Where there is care, there is carelessness. Where there is fullness, there is emptiness. That is how life is made. Yeah? Where there is intelligence, there is foolishness. Where there is trust, there is betrayal. Life is a duality. Life is a duality, friends. So let me just tell you one thing, Marwa. As far as you would say that there are people you are opening to and not others, be careful. Because people change overnight, Our hearts are in duals too. Our brains the same. Our nature the same. That is why sometimes today you marry somebody, you love them so much, tomorrow you hate them so much and you divorce. Right? So just hold life knowing that these things are there, and maybe create shock absorbers of how you'll handle them if they come. And sometimes they don't have to come to the limelight and people know that really so and so betrayed you. Let it just pass sometimes. So, of course, from that video, you've clearly seen that we are going to see a change maybe at the villa. Maybe some things will not be disclosed. Even they'll have to begin editing their videos. They cannot continue doing what they are doing because in some situations you say something you think is just to pass, but people pick it up and use it, Like I just saw Marwa, when passing the door. And he was almost putting on the gumboots and he said that they are stinking. And I don't know, he realized and he said that, no, they are not stinking. You can see they are very clean. And the problem was with the socks. And he didn't go into exploring what is wrong with the socks. And I said, oh, Marwa, this one today will be used by somebody. Yeah, it will be. Anyway, let's go back to how to separate family from business. Family is very important, right? It's very important. However, for your success, you have to separate business and family. No wonder some of us don't bring our families to the limelight, unless sometimes I'm trying to encourage a child to do content. There is no way I'm going to bring here my husband, my baby, and whatever, if they are not part of the content I'm making. But one day, if I'm making content on them, then they'll come into my video. But I shouldn't just bring them anyhow in whatever I'm doing, unless it is something I'm vlogging in relation to the title of the day. So guys, how do you then separate family and business? You can separate family and business by having a family office. And you heard that man from Burundi. However much he looks like he's a storyteller, he has an idea, right? A private company that manages the wealth, estate, investment, and family affairs. Family office, right? Now, when you have a family office, I've ever seen, because I've had connections with some people who have built such homes even in Nairobi, you separate even the front, like that office should never be in connection with your house. I've even a friend who has a storage building in Nairobi, and the office of the husband is upstairs. So when visitors come downstairs, they don't go upstairs. So for him, he's working. Of course, he does his job as virtual jobs. He's an IT person. You can also have trust funds or foundations, like where those foundations will be the ones to manage kind of the entire business aspects, right? We have contracts and roles and succession planning. Family comes first. So automatically, as far as they can maintain to understand your business, they need to be away from your other matters. And of course, I had that idea from the Burundi man, which is right. But I just believe if MARWA is running into doing this kind of focus of networking, tutoring, it better be away from his villa. He can buy another piece of land, come on, and just build an office that will be taking charge of matters to do with people who are coming to consult. And that is how he can have a secretary. Maybe he can co-join that with the safaris. So that if people, the way Akote does, you cannot go to see Akote in her home. Never. Never. You have to go to see Akote from the office. You seek an appointment, you meet her, and then you explain your matters if you want a job or whatever. She doesn't allow that in her home because, of course, there will be conflicts. And of course, when you look at Rosho, she's doing her own content. She needs her privacy. So it will be always clashing. And of course, that is how your brand will go down because people will be like, how is she reacting? And you don't understand how different people react towards different ways in which you respond, right? So this is just what I saw today I have to talk about. And I don't know how some of you will perceive whatever I'm saying here, but that is for me. That is for me. So for today, that's what I thought I have to cover for that video. And I'm going to post it just as a video. Love. You can share, subscribe, and do much with my video. And I'll be so happy if I see you following up. I have so many videos on my channel, so keep watching them. You can check even on the past videos and check through what I do. If you're a Kenyan, of course, you have a student in high school who has a challenge with English or Kiswahili, especially the literature books. Let them come on board. Edutainment for us does education with an analysis of these books, and so poetry and all that. So let's join hands in different things. I do also compose a lot of poems and some music. Of course, that is why I use Music Hills TV, my other channel for music. And on Life Saga TV, doing analysis of political, crime, and other aspects, the sagas that we see around the streets. Bye-bye for now. Let's meet in another video. Thank you for watching my video.